Thursday, July 2nd, here live on Twitch, Facebook, Mixer, and YouTube. It is Esports Extra, the only live call-in sports show talking traditional sports, esports, and everything in between. Larry Ridley from SNY TV, little NBC Sports, Madden NFL, NBA 2K, Esports Extra, here on a Thursday, and we're live for the first time on location. I'm in my hometown, Music City, USA. The kids call it the Ville or Cashville if you got some swag. It would be Nashville, Tennessee to all of you guys out there. We got Renee Montgomery. She is down in the A. Renee, this is as close as I've been to you, baby.
Listen. Larry Laptop is coming live from the hotel, motel, holiday.
No, we better than the Holiday Inn.
Okay. You got money.
I wouldn't go that far.
Ron, Mexico.
Hey, what's the old saying, Derwin, the sportscasters? If it ain't free, it ain't me.
Yep.
Gotta feed us, gotta give us something free. I'm at a Marriott. I'm at a Marriott since they got the
not bad.
Yeah.
Courtyard.
Marriott's a friend of the show.
Marriott is a friend of the show. We got money out of Marriott.
That's why I said it.
So we got Derwin Worrell, fellow sportscaster, NABJ, National Association of Black Journalists. He is, where you at?
I'm in Brooklyn, Canarsie.
Okay.
Yeah, it's hot up here. We chilling though.
Okay, all right. Hey, it's hot down south with an F. Like, man, it's like 95 down. I was like, whoo, I can't breathe. The bugs are bigger.
The bugs.
What it's like down there, man. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So we got, I was going to say Siobhan Williams. That's his wife. This is Antonio Williams. Siobhan, what up, baby? How you doing?
Shouts to Siobhan.
Thanks for
That's
letting
the
us
real
use
boss.
thanks for letting us use your boo thing for a little while here. Hey, Dubs, what's up with you? Hey, Willie?
What's going on? Again, I appreciate you all having me. Thank you so much.
Oh, man, it's all good, guys. You guys ready to go here for Esports Extra on Thursday?
You better know it. Let's shout out to OG. Prayers up, going his way. You know, my brother, we're always thinking about you. So I just wanted to let you know we're thinking about you.
Absolutely.
Yes, OG.
Yeah, go ahead, Derwin. Anything on OG, man? He's going through some personal things right now. But as we all said in the group chat last night, man, prayers up. We got your back like chiropractor, bro, and we're going to keep sending out those positive vibes and the good energy out there towards Dayton. So we're definitely going to do that. Yeah.
Prayers up to him, and we got your back, guy.
Got your back like chiropractor. Let's do it. All right, guys, live here on Esports Extra. We'll take your phone calls, 877-853-5247. Meeting ID is Esports Extra. That's 377-678-9872. Go ahead and hit that pound button twice to join the show. So we are here. Let me turn my volume down. I'm trying to sit here and do 100 things at once. I'm not very good at multitasking. I can talk. That's about it. Can't move around. Let's go ahead and start with the very first topic. We're talking National Basketball Association, the NBA bubble, guys. The bubble cost. Can you think about this number for a second? $150 million to go down to Disney World. I thought the NBA had a relationship with the ESPN. They didn't get a discount.
That is the discount. What you mean?
Hey, when I go to Disney World, I don't pay for anything. Yeah. So let me ask you this. We'll start with you, Antonio. Now we're going to start with the queen of Esports Extra.
Of course.
Thank you.
Queen.
Of course.
Yeah, so
go ahead, Renee.
Yeah, so I actually just got off of an NBA town hall. Shouts to Adam Silver and the good people over there for having me on their town hall. And some of the things that he was just saying was that I can tell he's been listening. First of all, he talked about how the hallmark of this season is going to be empowering minority communities in the sense of the vendors they use, having representation, not only just throwing money at it, but having action items behind it. So on top of that 150 million just getting to the bubble, I think that there's going to be a lot more money spent on other things and going to that 150 million. Yeah, I think that's the discounted rate, and that's probably why we couldn't get in the bubble. That's probably why we had to leave Orlando alone at that price point. Goodness.
Yeah, and the WNBA, I guess they're still going down there near Bradenton, right?
Yeah, IMG. Yeah, IMG.
Hey, Willie, with the hoodie, man. What's up with you, baby? Antonio, 150 million, man. What are your thoughts on that? Higher or lower? What were you thinking coming in as far as a price tag for the National Basketball Association, of course, which you were part of for many years?
Well, it was interesting because when I was reading Adam Silver's comments, one of the things he was saying was how inefficient it is in terms of cost of it being 150 million, having all of the teams and team personnel and all of the people that are going to make this thing go. And one of the things I actually thought about was the fact that this is happening because we've had two bookend events happen in the NBA that really caused a loss of revenue. One, the Daryl Morey tweet, right? And so
China,
now we have,
absolutely.
right. And so now we have the pandemic. So I get I get him saying in the sentiment saying that, hey, you know what, it's inefficient. It costs us a lot to make this happen. But at the same time, that's a small price to pay to try to recover some of this revenue that's been lost, given the fact that, and I'm sure that's how they look at it. I'm not saying that's how I look at it. But
no, you're right, because if the NBA didn't do anything, that's $1 to $2 billion down the drain.
Yeah.
They were going to play by any means necessary. We all know that.
Right. So, you know, so reference, I get it, but at the same time, I also understand the economics of it, given the fact that we've had these two bookend events where we've seen a significant revenue. So with that being said, I'm not surprised that they spent 150 to try. They're going to recoup more than that. I'm sure they're not going to recover all those losses, but they're certainly going to recoup more than what they put out. So from an economic standpoint.
D-Dubs, your thought, man. Disneyland. That's about right. Look, I used to live in Orlando, and of course, you know this as a media person and an athlete. We get free passes to Disney World and things of that nature. So it's not a heavy lift. But even when I went for free, I still ended up spending $300, $400, $500 to pay for parking, pay for food, and things. Disney gonna get that money out of you. They'll let everybody in for free, and they'll probably still make $1 billion a day.
Yeah, Mickey Mouse does not play. He's gonna get his check.
He's gonna get his check.
He's gonna get his.
Hey, D-Dubs, do you believe in magic?
Well done.
I mean, they do a tremendous job if you've never been to Disney World with the celebration and how they treat the people there. But it makes me kind of wonder about, I heard Adam Silver say something about, he felt there was an obligation that he had to give back to the fans. So I guess, after listening to what we just said, that maybe it's not about giving to the fans, it's just about trying to recoup money that they would have lost if they didn't play the season. And also you're hearing now that they're going to have a second bubble in Chicago. I don't know if anyone picked up on that.
Yeah.
Yes, we're going to talk about that on the other side. Go ahead, though. Absolutely.
But it's very interesting. Everybody right now is trying to recoup something and try to get back to sports and not have this 2020 season just go down the drain.
You were just talking about that. It's funny, man. Great minds think alike. I think you're the great mind, and I'm thinking like you. So I'm going to go ahead and
I'll take that, W.
I like you guys getting along.
Hey, it's early. I'm going to tell that butt up when we get to Cam Newton, though. It's early. So let's go ahead and go back to Renee. We'll go back around the horn, no pun intended. Renee, the second bubble in Chicago, a lot less as far as the financial cost there to the NBA. But the other 8 teams will go to Chicago. Some teams are for it. They wanted their own sort of mini camp in their own markets. But look, this will be good for guys to get some burn and to play and help these younger guys out. You won't see Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and guys like that, Blake Griffin and people like that. But you'll get some young guys out there playing. Your thoughts on this second bubble, and your girl, Michelle Roberts, being emphatic like, no, everybody's got to be treated equally. So you can't treat these 22 teams differently from these 8 teams. So they want the same standards when it comes to the testing and the quarantine situation in the Chi right now. And hey, what did your boys say, Kanye? Summertime Chi?
Summertime fly. Yes, sir. I don't understand how that's not even the conversation starter. If you're going to have NBA players in a bubble, I don't care which bubble it is, you have to provide the same amenities. You have to provide the same testing. I mean, I don't understand how that would not. I know the NBA didn't propose for them to do that. So they're probably like, look, we didn't even say to do this bubble. Y'all want to do this bubble? Y'all do this bubble. I'm sure that that's kind of the thought process. But, I'm hearing that the rings detect COVID 3 days in advance and different things like that. How could you not provide that? I don't know how you couldn't. And I don't know what they don't want to provide and what they do. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but I just don't know how you could make a distinction on what things you're not going to provide. So I think it's a little bit bizarre, especially, and like, again, if we're saying because the star power isn't going to be in the other bubble, that's not sending a good message.
Sure. Well, I mean, That's a very good point. I mean, but look, I mean, it's almost like, well, it's closed circuit TV. Actually, it's no TV. Actually, it's nobody going to be able to watch it. So I'm okay with it. They're liking it akin to like a summer league, although that's a big
That's
deal.
what I
What
was
do you
saying.
feel
But
about
if it's a
that?
summer league, we're talking about health things. So
Right.
that's why
Sure. Good
I
point.
understand all the bells and whistles for TV. Okay, you're not going to get it
Right.
aired. But when we're talking about testing, I mean, that's not even if it was summer league, I would hope that they're testing then as well. So I just don't understand the disconnect on the health issue ones.
Well, some teams they wanted to just have their own players. They didn't want it as stringent, I guess, is the bottom line here. Without getting too far in the weeds, your thoughts on this, Antonio? I understand why they would want that and want to be in their own home markets, but I'm kind of with Michelle Roberts. You're like, look, let's just make this thing as safe as possible. Let's not screw around here. Guys, do your thing. I don't care who plays, but once you get inside that bubble, it's kind of like TSA, man. When we get on the airplanes, we're all getting checked, right?
Right, no question, no question. For me, I'll say that it's first off, shout out to Mayor Lori Lightfoot. That's probably one of the reasons why they chose Chicago because Chicago shut that thing down. So that's one thing. But secondly, I'll say for me, I certainly understand and I agree with Renee. There should be uniformity because the other thing that happens as well, and we all know this with teams are always looking to get a leg up, and you can't blame them. It's so competitive. So with that being said, you always run the risk of someone skirting the rules or something to that standpoint, right? In the name of competitive nature and gamesmanship. So with that being said, I think it would probably be best if during this pandemic, we're going to have all of these teams compete. It probably needs to be some level of uniformity if at the very least, make sure that we're protecting the safety of the players.
Yeah, Darwin, your thoughts, man. Summertime shot, man. Chicago, those 8 other teams. Looks like it'll start sometime late August or early September.
Yeah, they should be. Everything should be equal. Fair is fair. No one should get a leg up. It should be uniform for everyone involved, and that's just the right thing to do because you don't want to give somebody. Someone's going to always look to skirt the rules, and what you don't want to see happen is somebody gets out of the bubble. Somebody wants to go see his family, or something to that effect, and then bring something back to the bubble. So they got to treat everyone equally. Everyone needs to be doing the same thing, whether you're in Orlando or in Chicago, and try to be as safe as possible.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, guys, we'll see what happens with that. Treating it like a summer league, and I've covered at least 4 of those when I was in Orlando for my 4 years. Totally different. It's much more fanfare. It's live on NBA TV, but I kind of like it. You'll put these guys in different groups. Well, actually, maybe you can have them all in one group because in summer league it's usually I think it was 8 to 10 teams in Orlando, so they can sort of replicate this. It's actually bigger in Vegas than it is in Orlando. NBA can definitely make hay out of this. Let's keep it in the NBA. Lou Williams, we saw that he had some issues and wasn't so convinced that he was going to go to Orlando. Had kind of one foot in, one foot out, had some uncertainty, if you will, if he would go to Orlando. Looks like Doc Rivers, the head coach there, Glenn Rivers, said he expects him to be in Orlando. I think the Clippers will get to O-Town next week. I believe it's July 8th. Your thoughts on Lou Williams and how important he is to the Clippers? Here's a guy reigning sixth man of the year, averaging around 19 points a game. I remember this kid when it was him and Monte Ellis going back and forth at a
Yeah.
big high school game in Jackson, Mississippi in 2003. And I was like, holy cow, these guys are good to be 7 freaking team. We'll start with you, Renee Montgomery.
Oh man, so I love Lou Will. He knows that it's my guy. And he did in the beginning, he said he's 50-50. But I think you have to credit the NBA because there were a lot of guys that were 50-50, half in, half out. And they're kind of looking at the NBA like, what you gonna do? Like that they put the pressure, that he applied pressure by saying that. There's like when you say I'm half in, half out, people are going to come to you. How can we get you all in? I mean, that's just like you said, 19 points a game. They're going to try to figure out how can we get you all in. And now things are on your terms. A lot of NBA players have done that in the sense that they voiced their concerns, they voiced their opinions and put it on the NBA, put it on their teams, put it on their owners to come out, say something, tell me what you're going to do. What's your plan? So then I'm sure the Clippers have told him something that was comforting to him enough that Doc Rivers is like, all right, we got my boy back. But I think it's great. I think players are negotiating terms of their arrival at the bubble. And that's the power that the players need to understand they do have.
Absolutely, and Antonio Renee's been a part of this fight. Been on a on these calls with Kyrie and and Avery and all these NBA players. That was what around 100. Is that number accurate, Renee? It was about 100
It
players to begin,
was,
right? Close
yeah, it was
to.
about 80. Well, not speaking. It was about 80 plus on the
Okay.
80 to 90 on the call, but not everyone spoke.
Absolutely. So, hey, Will, your thoughts on this, man? Lou Williams got to be important, man. This guy is a walking bucket off the bench.
No question, very important for them because what he provides from a playing standpoint is he provides a lot of flexibility and versatility from an offensive standpoint. Now, when they go on the wings, you got Paul George, you have Kawhi, and then you have Lou Williams. What that forces the opposing team to do is they can't hide their best perimeter scorer because oftentimes you'll see teams hide their best perimeter scorer and let him kind of float because they don't want him to exert himself on the defensive end.
Absolutely.
And so when they play with those three guys together, your top wing guys, let's say the Lakers, for example, if they're playing a lineup where LeBron's playing some point and guarding on the perimeter, they can't hide LeBron. It's
Right.
harder for them to do it, or harder for other teams to hide their wing scores because all three of those guys are out there at once. And then the other thing from a closer standpoint, because as we talked about before,
Absolutely.
when you get into the half court and everybody has
Yeah.
scouted everybody, and you just got somebody that can just go and get you
One-on-one.
one, right. You got to have somebody that can go and get you one. And this guy is proven.
Yes,
so
sir.
shout out Lou Will for a lot of times, I'll say this really quick, a lot of times players, once they make that transition to the league, they have a hard time sort of transitioning to, okay, yes, be the scorer that I am, but also be efficient enough where I can fit with other scorers or guys that may have a bigger role than me. And Lou Will has mastered that. So, shout out to him for that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Daryl, when you look at Lou Williams, man, he finishes. Look, there's some things with this game, like defensively, he can be a liability at times on that side of the floor, but he's absolutely right. I don't care. Offensively, last 4, 5, 6 minutes of the game, I want him on the court. And LeBron, pick your poison. You want PG, you want you want Kawhi, or you want to run around with Lou Williams on the perimeter. Good luck with that, dog.
Yeah, man. I mean, with a shortened season like this, and it's all hands on deck. So you need your third guy. A lot of teams don't have a third guy. Now look at the Clippers. People are kind of forgetting about them a little bit, saying it's the Lakers, maybe OKC or Houston.
We didn't forget.
Yeah. But it didn't seem like they were getting as much love as the other LA teams. So having three guys to attack now is going to be tremendous. And, Doc Rivers are going to put that team in a good place for them to try to contend and try to, win the West and go on to the finals.
Yeah, good stuff there. You look at Lou Williams, and the one thing that I do like about him is we talk about the offense. But Antonio, speak on this. You were touching on it a minute ago. Here's a guy that's, it's almost like a being, and Renee would know this, like being a point guard, a willing passer, right? Here's a guy that can get you buckets. Any other team he probably starts on, probably at least half the teams in the league, bare minimum, maybe even 20 to 25 of the 30 NBA teams. Averaging 19 points a game off the bench. He's probably closer to 23, 24 if he really wanted to, maybe even up to 25. But he accepts his role, and Doc trusts him. That's the big thing.
No, there's no question. And that oftentimes when you're looking at players, when they're trying to make the league and stick, that's one of the hardest transitions. When you look at, a lot of times you look at NCAA basketball, and you look at Division I men's basketball, and oftentimes the leading scorer in men's Division I basketball doesn't make the NBA because it's hard for them to play when every possession, every play isn't drawn up for them. So the fact that Lou Williams can do both and has the ability, okay, now it's time. PG and Kawhi are doing their thing. Let me just sit back and be a part of the role here, and then I can step in and make a bucket on call. That is a major ability. And, because a lot of times when you look at scorers, and we all know this because we all know basketball, scorers are rhythm people, right? So they need shots. They need shots to get a rhythm. And so when you are a person that comes off the bench, that's less opportunity for you to get into a rhythm. So the fact that he can get into a rhythm and get into a rhythm quickly, and then, okay, somebody else has to get theirs. Now I'm ready to step up whenever I'm called on, is an amazing, amazing talent. And, it's funny because they'll be going through probably the Lakers to try to make it to the finals. And at one time, the Lakers had Lou Will. So it's just very interesting, all of the little subplots with the Lakers and Clippers. And I can say that from being an LA guy for
Right,
sure.
right.
So I know
And
the
I want
regional
to
part.
piggyback off of
Go
something
ahead.
he said though, because talking about Lou Will, we're talking about somebody that's not a starter. So we're
Uh-huh.
talking about this player in this high of a regard. We're talking about him finishing games. We're talking about him being a closer. Now imagine scouting the starting lineup. And then as soon as your starters come out, the second unit comes in. For coaches, that's like you talked about it, the trust factor.
Mhm.
He's a player that their second unit a lot of times has changed the momentum of the game.
No
You can
question.
see the game going one way. They
Yep.
put in him. What is his running mate? Harold.
Montrez
Montrez
Harrell.
Montrezl,
Harold. They
Louisville,
put him.
Montrezl Harrell.
Yeah, they put him and his running mate in there. I'm telling you, the game pace changes. The style of play changes. Lou Will, like he said, he can go get his own, but he really that pick and roll game. He's a monster in it, and
Lethal.
and that's so difficult for teams because he knows he has the timing, the touch. He's going to read the pick and roll. So yeah, I think that for us to be talking this much, and he's the sixth man, that's a big deal. That's a really big deal.
Let's go from the hardwood to the gridiron. Let's talk a little National Football League. And just to go back real quickly about the NBA, 4 weeks from today, if I'm not mistaken, right, guys? July 30th. 4 weeks from today is that opening game. We get those three teams playing: Lakers, Clippers, and Pelicans being playing. Good news there. Let's go to the NFL and talk the NFL fans. We've sort of talked about this with the capacity at NFL stadiums. Will they be like Miami? They're thinking maybe 15, 20,000. How about the Steelers selling just half of their tickets, of their allotted tickets early on last couple of months? Well, it looks like the NFL is going to have a policy where they're going to ask fans to sign waivers before they enter the stadium. I know it sounds crazy, but I'm all on board with this. We look
Yeah.
at these, these Fortune 500 companies, and we see politicians talk about this all the time. You worry about, being sued, sending people back to work. Let's open up the economy, but you're also opening yourself up to a lawsuit too. We'll start with you, D Dubs. What are your thoughts on this? The NFL potentially going to ask fans to sign a waiver. I guess you can say sign away their life.
Well, I honestly thought that there weren't going to be fans. I thought maybe the governors would have a saying about that, depending on what your state is. But hey, if you're going to sign a waiver, this is just like when you go to the amusement park, you get on a roller coaster, you get on bungee jumping. You sign a waiver. I understand the NFL want to protect their $15 billion company, so they don't want to be sued because you'll get sued in a heartbeat if somebody
Absolutely.
gets this virus. So I can't blame the NFL for wanting fans to sign a waiver. We'll see. I wouldn't be surprised if fans are allowed in if you might not get packed stadiums because people love football. So we'll see. But I was under the impression, and I really thought that we wouldn't have fans this season. But we'll see.
We'll see. Look, the NFL, they keep playing this game like, look, nothing to see here. We're going as scheduled. And look, I believe them for the most part, but look, the rubber's going to have to meet the road here soon. Training camps, by the way, open up in less than 4 weeks. We're looking at what, July 28th is that date that we're seeing, something like that, the target date. Renee, your thoughts on this? Fan signing a waiver? I don't know what this number is going to be. At some point, they got to figure out a number. I don't care about
A
fans
cap.
signing waivers. There's got to be a cap. You can't. I guess it's going
Yeah.
to depend on the locale, right? And what the health officials say. But I just can't imagine someone playing in Colorado or Kansas City or Missouri or Florida, and there's 75,000 people, and you come to New York and there's like 2,000 or no people. Like that just seems weird. But I guess that's why they call it home field advantage, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that there's always elected officials. There's always people that are going to speak for the population because sometimes the population can't make all these decisions. I don't necessarily think this is a decision that you have to allow the population to make. I think that if you feel the need that people might have to sign away their lives in a waiver, essentially, maybe that's the cue that you shouldn't have fans. I don't know. I just think that it seems that simple. I think that sometimes you can't leave it up to people to make the decision because I agree with you. In these football like cities and these football states, it might sell out. Now, what's going to happen? I said it before about Ohio State. When we talked about it, I said, if Ohio State allows fans to be in there, there will be as many fans as they allow. And that's the point. If you allow the fans to make the decisions, I don't that makes no sense to me because the fans are not going to maybe make the best health decision. And then while you're there, what you want to make sure people don't like, how are you going to regulate it while they're there? I just don't understand why that would be a decision for the fans.
Derwin, we look at this, man, and we've talked about it, for the last month or two, it seems like ad nauseum at times. What is that number? What's acceptable to Derwin Worrell if you were Roger Goodell or running the NFL? What do you do here? At some point, look, you want to say publicly, hey, we're going as scheduled, but behind the scenes, you're planning for all circumstances. What are you planning for? What's that number, Derwin? I think the Dolphins have it about right. 15, 20,000. There you go. I like what the Steelers did. No more than half the tickets being sold. That way you don't have to create this nonsense. Because there will not be 75,000 people in the stands in September. I don't believe that.
I can go with 15 to 20,000 in a 70,000 seated stadium. A lot of the stadiums about 60 to 70,000 that they hold. But also, it makes me think about these owners. These owners don't want to. These NFL owners, they do not like losing revenue. Sure. Jerry Jones does not want an empty stadium. You hear me?
Yeah.
A lot of these owners don't want empty stadiums, and that's what I don't want to say they can care less about the safety, but Jerry don't want empty. Jerry, Kraft, these guys do not want an empty stadium. They're going to try to squeeze some fans in. Mm-hmm. I think it has to be equal across the board. You can't have, say, 25,000 in Miami and only 5,000 in New York. That's not going to work. And if you leave it up to the fans, you don't think all the fans in Kansas City want to see their championship football team? They'll pack Arrowhead if you allow them to sign a waiver. Sign that waiver. They'll be tailgating brats and all kinds of stuff in there.
Exactly.
So I don't know what commissioner.
What they can do with rocks is kick them.
Yeah, they're gonna. You leave it up to the fans. The fans, Steeler Nation, they're gonna show up. They're gonna go.
Absolutely. That's why fan is short for fanatic. Antonio, your thoughts on this, man? Look, I've got no problem. Look, I love my NFL teams too. I don't know. I don't know.
No, I'm in agreement.
I love movies too, but I haven't been to a movie since March.
Facts. I'm in agreement with everybody. If I don't think the NFL would even have to require fans signing waivers because people are having coronavirus parties, right? Like, so people are literally doing it on purpose. So if you just open up the stadiums and just say, hey, we're going to have games, I don't even think you need to have a waiver. There are going to be enough people that come. So I agree with what everyone was saying. That I don't know if we should leave it in the fans' hands. Then the other thing too that you have with this is I'm a Raiders fan, so I know this. One of the things
y'all ain't got to worry about no fans in Oakland though. Ain't no fans out there. Y'all got the new stadium in Vegas though. You got a Lion region or whatever, a Lion Stadium or whatever it's called out there. So yeah.
Okay. Am I there?
Yeah, you here?
Yeah.
Okay. One of the things that's going on with the Raiders that I think is very interesting is the fact that Mark Davis, they've sold out basically the entire stadium with the Raiders, with the anticipation of the Raiders coming to Vegas.
Sure.
And, he's one of these owners that's sort of like Jeannie Buss, where like they own an iconic franchise, but even though they own that iconic franchise, they're one of the old school types of owners that the only real source of revenue that they have is the actual franchise that they own. So their pockets aren't necessarily as deep as, say, a Jerry Jones. Mm-hmm. So here's a guy that's totally against them tarping the lower level. He's saying, hey, I've already sold these seats. I want people in there. So to piggyback on what Dee was saying, I don't want to say people just don't care. But at the same time, it's hard to think that they care when people have that type of sentiment where they're like, hey, I sold these seats. Mm-hmm. It kind of doesn't matter to me what's going on.
Sure.
I want people in these seats. So
just make them sign a waiver.
Right, exactly.
Sign that waiver. All right, guys, we're going to go to the next topic. Hannah Oliveto, a good friend of mine, she's on the line in about 15 seconds, 20 seconds apiece. NFL preseason, cutting it down to 2. Looks like that is going to be the standard this year. Pretty good call. I think makes sense. Give each team time. We talked about this last week. Your thoughts on it, Renee?
Yeah, I agree. It makes sense. I like when things are just normal and make sense. It makes sense.
There you go. Nice and tight. That's why she's on TV, folks. There you go. Your thoughts, Antonio, with the NFL preseason. You look at it, cut 1 You get an extra week on the front end and another week on the back end, two preseason. That's really two preseason games. That's really all you need anyway.
Yeah, I agree with that, especially with them adding games in the regular season. Again, we're talking about safety here, and you wonder how much did that decision, how much did the player safety factor into continuing to make the season longer? So the fact that they've shortened the preseason and added more regular season games in another playoff round, I think is the right thing to do.
You haven't gotten to that 18-game schedule. We're back on 16 this year with 17 weeks.
Right.
Derwin, the news did come out today real quickly about training camp. They're going to have less bodies in camp, not 90-man roster going into training camp, probably 75 to 80. So you can see the coronavirus is sort of leading the charge as it always has and always will in this country right now. We're following the coronavirus is in charge, Derwin.
Yeah, it's definitely in charge. And what this is going to do is going to hurt the young guys. Young guys are not going to get reps. Some of the guys that might have had a chance to make a team probably won't make a team now because you're not going to get enough, enough time to see them. Only two preseason games. You're going to have to play your starters in at least one of the games to get some kind of continuity going. So this is going to hurt the young guys and might hurt some of the new guys on new teams. And we'll talk about that later.
That's a very good point.
The prelude, okay.
Oh my gosh. Oh man.
Here for it.
I'm gonna tell you like I tell my kids, Jesus be offense.
Jesus be offense.
Oh my goodness. I'm gonna have to come after this young man. I'm gonna enjoy it though. That's all right.
Here
though.
for it.
Real quickly, the NFL announcing they're talking about playing the Black Anthem during Week 1 as well. So that's another interesting topic with the National Football League. Watching and listening to Esports Extra here live on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and Mixer here live. Larry Ridley here with Renee Montgomery, the two-time WNBA champ. Antonio Williams, former NBA scout, Major League Baseball, former college basketball player, Durham Morrell, former and current TV sportscaster. This is the only live call-in sports show on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and Mixer, talking traditional sports and esports. Let's go to the phone lines here. You can call in as well, 877-853-5247, meeting ID esportsXTRA. Hit that pound button twice to join the show. Let's bring in a good friend of mine. She was an intern of mine when I was in Orlando at West, the NBC station. Her name is Hannah Olivito. She is the sports anchor at WCCB TV in Charlotte. Hannah, good Thursday to you. How you doing?
Hi, Larry. I'm doing great. How are you guys?
I'm good. I'm so proud of you, by the way. I want to throw some roses at you and give you some accolades. Your career is on this trajectory. You're going to be a big-time star. And I ask everyone that becomes a big-time star that I may have mentored or may have worked with in the past or previously, when you make it big, just reach your hand down and pull up a brother like me. Can you do that for me?
Oh, okay. I still need you to pull me up. I'm not quite there yet.
All right, good stuff. Hey, you're down in Charlotte. Cam Newton, of course, the news came out earlier this week, going to the New England Patriots on that one-year deal. Just big picture, tell us about Cam's time in Charlotte with the Panthers, 9 years, first overall pick in 2011, took the team to the Super Bowl, MVP, 3 Pro Bowls. Big picture, what is his name like, and what's his legacy in Charlotte and with the Carolina Panthers?
Yeah, so obviously Cam's time in Carolina was a roller coaster. He had the highest of highs, the lowest of lows. He went to that Super Bowl, and then obviously it kind of trickled out these last few years due to injury. So obviously he leaves on kind of a sour note. The fans will always love Cam here in Carolina, but I don't think he left Carolina the way he would have wanted to. He didn't think the team handled it the right way, but obviously this is a business. But I think, his legacy will still be that he was a great quarterback for the Panthers, and obviously just the injuries got the best of him here in the last couple of years.
Yeah, and when we go back to his time, we talked about the Super Bowl in 2015. Let's go back to the shoulder injury first, Hannah. That was 2018. He started the season off pretty good. Was that the beginning of the end, or was it the foot injury? Talk about the end of his time in Carolina, and how did the team sort of view him? I know Ron Rivera had some glowing remarks about him the other day on talking the new Redskins coach on the radio the other day. How did that end for Cam, say middle of 2018 to now?
Yeah, so obviously he got that shoulder injury in 2018. He tried to play through it through the season, saying it was only sore, saying it wasn't a big issue. Obviously, then we see at the end he needed to have surgery on it once again. So we know, that shoulder is bothering him. And then we enter in to the next season, and in that preseason game against the Patriots, he gets the foot injury. And then obviously that takes him out for the rest of the season. But I just think for Cam, and the team, they got a new coach and they just weren't really to continue to risk it on him because of the injuries plaguing him season after season. Now we've had multiple surgeries. What does that make for the future? Obviously, the Patriots are asking themselves that same question. I think that's why he got that one-year deal. But he's had a lot of injuries. So that's obviously a big question going into this season. It was a big question for the Panthers. I think they just didn't feel comfortable with him going into this season, and they just didn't want to risk it on him. And I mean, obviously for the Panthers, this is a little bit of a rebuild season, if you will.
Yeah, with Matt Rule as the coach, the former Baylor coach. This is Esports Extra, the only live call-in sports show talking traditional sports and esports. We'll take your phone calls, 877-853-5247. The meeting ID, Esport Extra. Hit that pound button twice to join the show. Talking here with Hannah Oliveto, sports anchor and reporter down in Charlotte, North Cac, as the kids like to say down south.
North Kakalaki.
North Kakalaki, WCCB TV. What are the players' thoughts on Cam Newton? You catch up with a lot of these players that are still there. We've seen Greg Olsen and some of the other players, Christian McCaffrey, talk about him. How do they view Cam Newton? And talk about that video that he sent out the other day where he said farewell to Carolina, and we're showing it right now, and hello to New England, where he's going up in Boston. He's got to learn to park the car, Hannah.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. I think, a lot of players like Cam, they, like the energy. I'm sure there's players that roll their eyes sometimes, but, he's a big guy, big energy guy. He comes into that locker room and he's in the locker room. He blares his music. He's chatting people up. So he's, comes in with a lot of energy. I do think the players liked him and are going to miss him for the most part. But, obviously with the video yesterday, the Panthers never put out a video to thank him for his time in Carolina. So Cam kind of took that upon himself, as we saw yesterday, putting out that video. We saw highlights from his time here in Carolina. So I think he took it upon himself to put that video out. I do think maybe the Panthers should have paid tribute to him, even though it ended the way it did. He did have many good years here. And obviously, like I said before, the fans really loved him. So, it's on to the Patriots. I think that was probably the only team knocking at his door, and he needed to take that deal. And I do think, he's going to be a good fit there for the Patriots. It'll obviously be interesting to see what Bill Belichick does with him and if he's healthy. He can do anything if he's healthy.
That's funny. You bring up the Patriots. Of course, that is our next segue. And Cam ended that video with, "I'm coming at your neck." So very motivated Cam Newton going up to Foxborough, playing with the hoodie. Going to be interesting, though, because the hoodie is the least or the worst dressed person on the planet. And then you got Cam with the scarves and a keffieh or whatever the hell you want to call it, the things that he likes to wear. He's a very eclectic and a very eccentric young man. I love him. I've met him a couple of times, done some interviews with him. What are the Patriots getting here with Cam Newton, a year and a half removed from the shoulder surgery and almost a year now from the foot injury as well? Can he beat out a fellow Auburn Tiger? And you worked in Alabama covering those teams as well. Can he beat out Jarrett Stidham? What do you expect from the New England Patriots, who've won 11 straight divisions and had a 16 out of 17 in the AFC East?
Yeah, look, obviously the question is he going to be healthy? If Cam Newton is healthy, there's no way he's not the starting quarterback. I think this gives Jarrett Stidham some time to figure out what he can do. Cam Newton is the starting quarterback if he is healthy. And obviously, what are they going to get out of him? I don't think the Patriots have had a quarterback that likes to run as much as Cam Newton. You never know what he's going to do, especially when you're in the red zone. To have Cam Newton back there is a huge plus for any team if he is healthy. So I think they're going to get a lot out of him. He can do a lot on the field, and he can make plays happen that wouldn't happen otherwise.
Yeah, very good point. We'll see about the New England Patriots, and a lot of people think that they struggled. They struggled so bad that they went to 12-4 last year, and were basically within a couple of plays of having the second best record in the AFC, and once again having home field advantage in the first round of the playoffs, being in the divisional round. Real quickly, wanted to get your thoughts on Tom Brady and his reaction to Julian Edelman, who said, "One love, can't wait to meet and play with Cam," and then Tom Brady chiming in like, "I thought I was your first love." What did you think about that? The little bromance between Brady, Edelman, and also Cam Newton.
I love a bromance. Obviously, Tom Brady is just playing around with him. I love the Julian Edelman relationship with Tom Brady that we've seen over the years. So I know he's just giving him a hard time. But of course, he knows now he has to kind of bond with Cam Newton because that's the future for the team.
Yeah, good stuff. Any questions, Renee Montgomery, two-time champ, or Duran or Antonio? Any thoughts, buddy?
Now, I have a question. How do you think Larry Laptop's accent was for this Boston thing? Because we hear it every show. So I'm just curious what your thoughts are. How do you rate that accent?
Wait, there's a Boston accent?
I'll do it for Larry Laptop. Just do it for yes, there is.
Hannah, before I
He didn't even hear it.
Yeah, before I met you in Orlando. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
No,
I know you did work in.
No, go ahead.
So it should be pretty good, but I've never heard it. Somehow when I was in Orlando, I never got to hear the accent. So I'm very curious.
Okay,
he just did it for you just now. That's why.
Here it goes. Of course, living in Boston, when you're on TV there, you can't make fun of the Bostonians because they will come after you. But you got to park the car. You got to head over to Fenway Park or Harvard Yard, or if you really want to have fun, you head out to Dorchester. There you go.
It's the R's. It's all in the R's.
It's the AH.
I'm going to give that a 4.
A 4 out of what? 4 or 10?
A 4 out of 10.
Wow.
It was too forced. It has to be natural.
Oh, I like that.
Hannah,
okay.
Used to be my
At least she gave a reasoning behind it. This was my question, Larry Laptop. Don't take it over. Thank you for your submission. I just wanted to know what people thought about it. That's all for my questioning.
Wow, you put me out there like that. Derwin, you got anything?
Well, how do you think the fan base is going to feel about Cam not being there and now with the new coaching and the regime?
Yeah, obviously that's going to rely on Teddy Bridgewater. If Teddy Bridgewater comes in and performs and they love Teddy, I think it's easier to forget about Cam Newton. But if Teddy Bridgewater comes in here and is trash, everyone's going to be yelling, "Why didn't you keep Cam Newton?" So I think that could really go either way this season.
How do you think it's going to go, Hannah? Realistically, your thoughts. Will they miss Cam Newton?
Well, if Cam Newton goes to the Patriots and can't play or isn't healthy, then obviously not. But if he shows up there and he's going to go in there with a chip on his shoulder, he has something to prove. He's been telling us all off season that he feels great. He's ready to play. So if he does go in there and do that, then the fans are not going to be happy, right? And you never know what you're going to get out of Teddy Bridgewater. Obviously, a healthy Cam is still better than Teddy Bridgewater. We'll see what Bridgewater can do. Obviously, we hope we get the Vikings Teddy Bridgewater, but we'll see what happens.
All right, good stuff. Hannah, we really appreciate your time. Keep killing it down there. Tell Kelly I said hello. I'm really excited for you and your career. You're doing great things. And please stay safe down in Charlotte. And we really appreciate you joining us, okay?
No problem, Larry. Thank you, guys.
All right, thanks. And Hannah, we'll start checking in with you during the season and check in with the Panthers if they get hot, okay?
Keep pounding.
All right, well, we'll see. Keep pounding.
That's right. All right, good stuff. All right, thank you, Hannah. Thank you very much.
Okay.
That is Hannah Alavito,
welcome.
sports anchor and reporter in Charlotte at WCCB TV in Charlotte. Renee Montgomery, why you got to do me like that?
Oh, that was great. That was great because I knew she was going to keep it real. I had this feeling, I'm like, Hannah seems like she's about to keep it real. Let me see what she said. And she did not disappoint.
It was wicked bad.
Yeah.
Wicked bad. It's actually not even that bad. It cracks me up because you do it a lot. So I wanted to hear what somebody thought about it. It isn't that bad though, real talk.
So do I need to put it away and not?
No, keep it. No, I need it. It's comic relief. I need it.
All right, okay. Antonio knows about Harvard Yard.
All too well.
Can you park the car? Huh?
You know, they would have laughed at me if they heard me talking like
You know what,
that.
Antonio?
Right?
I saw you back there laughing, Antonio. You part of the show now, you family. Let me hear your Boston accent, Antonio.
I don't have it. Hey, the minute I got there, they were like, "Yeah, you ain't from here."
No,
are
you
you?
about to
It's
give me
like,
something.
no.
I want to hear you say Park the car. I want to hear you say a Harvard Yard, and I want to see you at Fenway Park.
So
You went to
look,
Fenway
no,
Park.
Why
I
does
will
he
say
have
this
to
one.
do
Look,
that?
I will say this one. Here's what when they say like pizza, it's pizza, an idea.
What?
Yes,
Oh,
Hey.
yeah.
yes.
I have heard idea, or
Yeah,
if that's what you're saying. But yeah, I have
idea
actually heard that.
and pizza.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's different.
Wow.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
He's
So
from-
that's like
out.
actually a different word.
So if a word ends in an A and then the next word begins with a vowel, they'll add an R to it. So it'd
Oh.
be pizza. Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Hey, I learned something. I
The
didn't
more
really
you
hear a whole
know.
lot.
The more you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
guess you hear these guys from Southie all the time. All you hear is That's it. So
Yeah.
everything else is like it was just a flying thing or whatever. Just kind of went over my head. Let's go ahead and dive into this Cam Newton. Durwin, I'm going to give you the floor. You seem to think he's a bum. I want you to explain to America why
Yes.
Cam Newton's a bum.
Hey, I said it over a year ago that the Carolina Panthers need to move on from him. Save you your $20 million. This is a business. Constantly breaking down. We had the shoulder injury where he could barely throw the ball downfield. Once teams realized he could not throw the deep ball, they started sitting on routes. It was just awful to watch. And then he had the leg injury, the foot injury last year. He couldn't run. If Cam Newton cannot run, I keep saying, what is he? He's not very good when he can't run. He has to be able to run because he's not the kind of quarterback to sit back there and throw that ball 40 times, 35 times a game and be successful. It's not going to happen. So it was time for them to move on from him. They have Christian McCaffrey there, who's a star. They need to build around that young kid and rebuild that defense because Kuechly is gone and they can go some places. They got a new coach, a new regime. It was time to move on. They saved $20 million. No, you don't like the way it was done. Maybe they should have done the video for the guy. I think at the end of the day, great Carolina Panther history with him as a Carolina Panther quarterback. His name will go in the Ring of Honor someday in that stadium. The fan base loved him. You wanted to give him a proper send-off. Breaking up is always hard to do, but it was time for them to move on.
You know what? That was very measured and that was reasonable. That was.
That was very, yeah. That was great.
America, clap it up for Derwin. That had very good reason behind it. It was not crazy. It wasn't cray. There's not a lot I can say about that because I was ready to pounce on you. You never veered off, and you just said, "Look, no one's saying he's a bum.
He was focused.
He's just injured, and I don't trust him to come back and be the Cam that he was."
Well,
I can't argue with that.
Your guest just said it pretty much. Yeah. You can't trust him.
She straddled the fence. I'm like, all right, I was going to ask her, what do you believe? Not telling me the obvious, which is, well, if he plays good, the fans are going to be mad. Well, if he's hurt, well, they're going to be like, good riddance. What do you think will happen? You get paid to give me your opinion.
I think my opinion is.
Well, you're actually not getting paid. None of us are.
My opinion is that his best days are behind him.
Okay.
He's not going to be very good. I believe he's done. That's my opinion.
See, there he goes.
I would not have called it.
There he goes.
During the offseason, I said, I wouldn't be surprised if no one called him. And for the longest time, no one called him. Now,
you don't know that. You don't know that.
Well, let me finish.
Well,
we did find out, I think it was Adam Schefter said that Cleveland called, but nothing ever materialized. And it wasn't until...
You know why? You know why?
Why?
Because the hoodie was always there.
No.
That's why.
Now,
crazy.
Let me get back.
The Patriots. There's no team that plans better than New England. You don't think they didn't plan this out?
But
and
listen,
he just waits.
This is not fantasy
football. It's like reverse Jedi mind trick. He's doing it to you right now.
Listen, the key was there's a salary cap, Larry. You know there's a salary cap.
The Patriots had $1 million, and they still got him. Because they always do. Because they always do. Because they didn't really have to wait. Let me explain it to you. They had $1 million. Right now, they got $268,000 left on their cap. They gave him about $1 million. He can earn up to 7.5 with incentives. Belichick, he's playing you just like he does the rest of the coaches.
He ain't playing me.
No, he didn't. No, because everybody thinks no one wants him. And Belichick's sitting there like, just like he
There's
fleeced
32
Antonio Williams,
teams in
Oakland
the
Raiders,
league.
for Randy
32
Moss.
teams. 32 teams. No, but
Why do
two
you think
teams
it-
called
why-
him.
Why do you
Two
think
times.
that is?
2 teams called
Why
him.
do you think that is for an MVP, a guy that was all pro once and a Pro Bowler 3 times? Why do you think that
You
is?
want to know why? Because
Why?
most of the league thinks he's done.
No,
That's why.
Come on,
They
dude.
think he's done, and nobody really needs a
But
starting quarterback. Really.
Marcus Mariota can get another chance. Chase Daniel can get 13 million. You don't. Come on, dude. Think
What?
about this. Use your brain. Take
You
your
keep
time.
going to these backup quarterbacks.
What? Jameis
You know,
Winston and
every
Cam Newton.
team is different.
Jameis Winston and Cam Newton got less than Chase Daniel gets a year total.
Okay.
Why
Well,
is that?
Chase
Why
Daniels
is that?
came in because you know what happened? Who did the Lions have last year before Chase Daniels? Chase Daniels wasn't there.
No, he was
Wasn't
with
it-
the Bears. He was with the Bears.
Exactly.
Sure.
And their quarterback went down.
If you needed a
And they
backup
had a-
quarterback, if you needed a
That
backup quarterback, you're
fiasco,
gonna take.
it was
You're
a
gonna take.
fiasco.
You're gonna
the
take
backup
Chase Daniel
quarterbacks.
over Jameis Winston or Cam Newton. Is that what you're gonna do?
It all depends on what you want.
Oh
what you're
my
looking
God!
for.
There's no.
Listen,
Turn his box off. Turn
Listen.
his box off now.
listen,
Turn his box up.
Mute him now.
Listen.
Mute him now.
I'm weak.
Mute him.
Some
I'm about to
teams-
unleash Coach K. Coach K,
Listen.
mute him now. Coach K,
Listen.
I got timeout. 20-second timeout. I got to jump in. Look
No,
here.
no,
Austin,
This
Austin,
is
listen,
hilarious.
You can't say Chase Daniel
Some
over
team-
Cam Newton. Please take it
First-
back. You got a chance.
No, let
Oh
me
my
finish.
gosh.
Let
Antonio,
me finish.
Renee,
Let
will
me
you jump
finish.
in here?
I'm
Renee,
going to take Chase
he
Daniels.
No way.
I'm going to take
Antonio.
Chase Daniels if
gonna let
he's
him do this,
cheaper.
Antonio?
I gotta let
If
him.
he's
I gotta hear the
cheap-
man.
No, did you hear someone? You don't allow them to say crazy things.
No, if he's
We love
cheaper,
him.
and there's
We
a
want to
salary
hear the
cap-
man out.
If it's cheaper and there's a salary cap, you got to look at your salary
The only
cap.
thing that's cheaper is the cheaper the keeper. Not the take.
Listen, no.
I'm weak coming from a man with 2 ex-wives.
I got one.
Ooh, listen,
One, by the way.
let's go
correct
back to
the record,
Seattle.
just one.
Seattle,
4 kids,
Seattle
1
has
wife.
been getting
Excellent.
away with a $1 million backup for years. A backup making $600,000. This is what Seattle does because
Yeah,
Russell
because they gotta pay
Wilson
everybody else.
doesn't leave the
Exactly.
field.
I get
So
that.
you know what they say? We're gonna take this little backup that we have, pay him only $700,000.
Sure.
If Russell goes down in the game,
Get that
the
too with-
backup-
with Hoyer
the
paying him
backup
$2
will
million.
play.
Yeah.
and then on Monday we're on the phone. We're gonna get
Sure.
somebody else in here.
It's
But
not
why have a guy
exclusive
in
to
your
Seattle,
roster
though.
for the whole season and pay him
Seattle's not the
$5
only
million?
team that does that. It's a salary cap. You're right, but what I'm saying is there were teams out there that had cap space, and they didn't choose to use it and direct funds towards Cam Newton.
Why? Why would you? Why would you?
Because what do you mean?
Why?
I would.
No, I wouldn't. After what I saw, after what my eyeball saw from him,
So what is it-
absolutely not.
Okay, you're blind.
Absolutely
You're
not.
blind. You need glasses.
No, I'm not blind.
Glasses.
Do you not remember
You're gonna
fourth
take
down
Chase
on the
Daniel?
goal line
What are you talking
against
about?
Tampa?
Oh my
And
gosh.
he couldn't go over the top to get a first down.
Sure,
Do you
he threw
remember
30.
that?
He was 30 for 30. We get it. Yeah, you're right.
He was terrible.
He was. Oh, he was
he
so
was-
terribly. Renee, he was so terribly led the
Listen,
league in passing with 5,000
Renee,
yards.
Renee,
He's
Antonio.
Whoa. I'm not
Hold on,
in it.
listen.
He's that
Listen.
terrible. This is when you lose
2015
people, man. You
was
can't-
his best year.
He was the MVP.
2015.
How many MVPs
Since
have there been? What you mean?
Listen.
I am the MVP. As Allen Iverson would say.
2015, which was 5 years ago, was his best year. After
Mm-hmm.
that, the guy is 23 and 23.
Coach K, mute him.
He's 23 and
I
23.
cannot.
In
He's a
28
500
mute him,
quarterback.
Coach K, now.
No,
Mute him.
Oh my gosh.
You
This
can't-
is
you
crazy.
can't silence the
Mute
truth.
Derwin.
You can't silence
Mute
the truth.
Derwin. We got to cancel Derwin. Cancel Twitter. We got to cancel
No, we are not canceling anyone on the show.
No,
Crazy.
Derwin is a friend of the show.
no, that's akin to hate speech. What he's doing right now, America. It's pretty daggone bad. It's pretty
And I'm-
bad.
listen,
Okay.
there's no
Listen,
guarantee.
you said Derwin is a contrarian. Is that the term that they call it, right?
Yep.
Okay, so that's why they pay him the big bucks, because he will think of that. He will think of a way. figure out a stat that goes with his thought process. That's why I enjoy watching you and him go against each other.
We got Bait Derwin. That's his new nickname.
We got checks and balances here. So Renee has to make the call.
I mean, a guy's been in the league. He's been in the league 9 years, and he's had 3 winning seasons. He got an MVP. I'll give him that.
How many Pro Bowls? How many Pro Bowls?
3.
Okay, how many
in 9 years?
How many?
3 in 9 years.
Yeah, that's pretty damn good, God.
One. One for who? There's quarterbacks that go to the Pro Bowl every single year.
How many Pro Bowls has Chase Daniel made?
Chase Daniel's a backup.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
He knows who he is. He's a backup.
Is Cam Newton okay? In 2018, America, let's go ahead and mute Derwin since he's clickbait.
I cannot with this mute Derwin.
He's a clout chase. He's chasing clout right now. Derwin, in 2018, Cam Newton and the Panthers started 6-2, right? His completion percentage was one of the top 3 or 4 in the league at almost 70%. 15 TDs, 4 picks. His QBR rating was well over 100. Well over 100. Antonio Williams, if I told you that from your QB, what would you say? I would say, damn, that's top 10 territory, bare minimum, probably top 5.
I would take that. No question.
That's damn good. Right. That's better than 80 to 85.
Did you say 2000? Did you say 2018?
Yeah, before he got hurt. Derwin. So I've got no problem with you saying, look, I don't trust him being healthy. He started 6-2 before he messed up his shoulder, Derwin. Are you not paying attention?
Okay, so I'm gonna put a guy.
He missed the final 2 games.
So I'm supposed to call a guy that's 31 years old.
What a bum shoulder.
31, 30. You need your shoulder to throw.
I
can't throw it at your shoulder.
That's what it tells you, Derwin. Think about this. Think it through, one step at a time. Let's go.
I'm thinking it through. Okay. I got a broke down guy every other year.
Okay,
he's broken.
Okay,
he's broken every other year.
Just don't call him a bum.
He's got his foot.
Don't call him a bum.
He's got his shoulder.
Sure.
Come on, man.
Okay,
You know what LaDainian Tomlinson said? You can't make the club in the tub. He's always hurt. This guy's always hurt. He's 31 years old.
And what does Belichick say? The best availability is what? The best ability is what?
Being on the field?
Availability. So I'm with you on that. I'm with you.
Okay. But there's a reason why Belichick decided to pay him the bare minimum to go along with the other 2 quarterbacks.
That's the salary cap, Derwin. Okay, it's a salary cap league. Don't be disingenuous.
Listen,
Say the facts.
I don't think Cam's starting week 1.
Fair enough. Okay.
I don't think he's going to start week 1.
Fair enough.
I don't see how he makes it 7.5
last time we saw him
incentives.
Last time we saw him when he was fully healthy, it was a year and a half ago. Last time he was fully healthy, they were 6-2. He was a top 5 MVP candidate. 15 to 16 TDs, 4 picks, QBR well over 100, completion percentage at 70%. I'll take that. That's top 5 any day of the week, dog. That's what I'm saying. That's what you could potentially get. And
you're not getting that.
I just went on the clearance rack, dog, and got some days signed by Michael Jordan for $30.
You're wishful thinking. You think at 31, after all these injuries he's had, he's going to be the old Cam. No, he's not.
Okay.
I have an input about the whole thing as well.
Okay.
I just think that from the I always talk from the athlete's perspective. From the athlete's perspective, I would love to be Cam Newton. Like, I would love to be in a position where
people like Derwin are fueling him right now.
Well, and not even that. I've never really cared what the media said because they can love you today, hate you tomorrow. So I've never really cared about that. But I'm saying from an athlete competitor perspective, Cam Newton is in the best possible position. You're at a team who is known to carry themselves well, to handle themselves professionally, that typically has people play better than what you have seen before sometimes because they put them in the right places. You have a 1-year contract. Everyone knows that it's probably less than you should be making. You have 1 year to prove yourself. So for me, like if somebody was like, look, you can be on this well-known franchise, you can have the keys to the car. It's on you to decide what you have to do. Like, as me, I would be hype if I was Cam, and I know what y'all are talking about. But if you're Cam Newton, like, if you kill it it's a win-win situation. Like, there's always going to be people that think like Derwin. So people expect him to not be healthy, expect him to maybe not be the quarterback he was because of the injuries, because of the repetitive injuries over time. But that's the best case scenario. I mean, you go in there with no expectations.
Good point. Coach K, let's show the picture from Cam and I back in 2014. This was the first Madden event that I ever did, a first live Madden tournament, esports tournament. This was back in, I believe, 2014. I believe it was Madden 15 at the time. So it was early in 2014 or late 2014. And he asked me, I was in his green room with him. I had a long conversation with Cam, and he wanted to know, because I told him I worked in Boston. He was like, oh, because they were Under Armour, sort of, guys at the time. And I think they both still are. He wanted to know just about Tom Brady and how he sort of, and this is before Brady started coming back to win those titles, which he did 3 times in the last, 5 years or whatever. So it'd been a while since Brady won, and he wanted to know, how did he keep the heat off of him, what sort of a leader he was, and just what it was sort of like to cover him day in and day out. And I told him, I said, look, Tom Brady is the master at dodging and weaving, not giving you a lot, smiling, giving you non-answers, and it worked for him. And he wanted to pick my brain about that. And I just find it's interesting that he's going to this place that's pretty sterile when it comes to a lot of people on the outside when they look at it. But I think that Belichick, and I'm telling you, I believe that Josh McDaniels might have something for him. Derwin, you're absolutely right. We don't know how healthy he is. Ron Rivera thinks that he will be. That foot can be tricky. I don't know if it was a true Liz Frank. Some people said was, some people said wasn't. We do know the shoulder. It should be decent. I'm more worried about the foot. But although as a quarterback, the shoulder's the worst thing. But we saw with Drew Brees when I was in Miami, when it was the Dante Culpepper, Drew Brees situation. That's why Nick Saban's not in the NFL anymore. He chose the guy with the bad knee instead of the guy with the bad shoulder. So it's going to be interesting. Just want to get you guys' thoughts that he was asking about Tom Brady, and now he gets to replace. We'll start with you, Antonio. You haven't spoken a while.
I've been enjoying the show. It's been great.
Right.
For me, I think it's very interesting again, because I think one of the things that Bill Belichick does is oftentimes coaches have this tendency to take themselves too seriously, and it's all about their system. And what he actually does is, not only will the philosophy change from year to year depending on the personnel, it can change from game to game depending on the opponent.
Oh, it does change. They're a week-to-week team, absolutely.
Right. And more teams should play like that, especially as D so eloquently pointed out, in a salary cap league. Right.
You know why they don't, Antonio? Because it's hard. That's why.
Well, another reason why they don't too, Larry, is because oftentimes the owners don't let the personnel people and the coaches do their jobs, right? So that's another thing, because it becomes, okay, are we winning, or are we developing players? Or, so when you're a coach, you oftentimes can't really think outside the box and try things, because you got to worry about your job all the time.
Absolutely.
Right.
And Belichick is the coach and the GM. He runs the whole damn ship.
Exactly.
And he's making like $12 to $15 million a year. So Providence gave him the money. That's why I got the big old boat, 7 rings in Nantucket.
There we go. So and in basketball, that's the same type of deal that Greg Popovich has with the Spurs. It's the ownership stays out of it, and they let the basketball people do what the basketball people do. And so I think that's one of the things that we have here with Belichick and Cam. And one of the other things too, when you look at Cam, is oftentimes when you have these quarterbacks that have these superhuman abilities, everything rides on them. And it's one of the reasons why I like what's going on in Baltimore with Lamar Jackson, is because he does all these superhuman things, but they have a great offensive line. They can run the ball. They got people they can throw the field to. They got a good defense. So even though Lamar Jackson is the show, the whole franchise doesn't sort of rest on what Lamar does on a week-to-week basis. I mean, we saw this with Randall Cunningham. We saw this. I mean, you can just go down the list, Michael Vick, et cetera. So with Cam going to New England, I don't know it with Belichick and the way that he coaches. Again, I guess, in New England, they say, in Bill we trust. I don't know if Cam Newton has to be 2015 Cam Newton for them to win, because
they're going to get the best out of him. They're going to let him. Right. They're going to tailor things to they. That's how they do it. That's how they get these no-name guys to play well. They sort of game plan to your strengths. They don't ask you to do anything that you're not good at.
Put you in the best position possible.
There you go. Fact.
Let's move it. Go ahead, Antonio. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I don't know with the way that Belichick coaches and how he's able to make those adjustments. I don't know if he has to be 2015 Cam Newton for them to win. I mean, if they're winning games,
he's got a better team around him. He's got a top 2 defense, so he's got a hell of a lot better team around him.
Exactly. And we talked about this. I mean, he's winning with Matt Castle, and so if he can do that with Matt Castle, he can certainly win some games with Cam Newton.
Matt Castle, when he started back in 2008, I'll never forget it. Brady got hurt the first game. Matt Castle came in the second game and started the rest of the year. The last 15 games, they won 11-5. Matt Castle last started high school. It was like 7 years between starts from high school to playing in the freaking National Football League. Just freaking think about that. From high school to playing and starting in the National Football League for arguably the best team in the NFL. Just think about that for a minute. That'll tell you what kind of coach that Belichick is and the staff that they have. Let's go real quickly. As I said, we're only going to go on an hour tonight. We're a little over. We're going to go about another 5 minutes. NBA 2K1, Coach K, let's show the trailer. NBA 2K21, the trailer came out. Dame Lillard. Renee, we were talking about it with the HBCU thing. What time is it, Renee?
Game time. You better know it.
Hey.
This is what you guys think. Have you seen the trailer? We'll go with you, Durbin. You haven't spoken in a while.
Well, I haven't seen the trailer, but I saw the cover with Kobe. I saw that showing today, but sorry, I didn't catch
it's like the
trailer
Hall of
yet.
Fame edition. It's like a special edition with that one. There's also one with Zion Williamson on it too, but the cover athlete for NBA 2K21 is your boy Dame Lillard.
Yeah, he's a beast. So he well deserved.
Okay. Anybody got anything else?
Oh well, I know. I like it. Do you not like Damian Lillard?
Yeah, he's on the cover. What else?
So
all I care to talk about is Cam and Cap.
No, I like it. I like it because Dame is one of those players that you can't call him underrated because he does get a lot of media attention, but he still has this, he's never in the top conversations. So I can understand a player like that feeling great about getting a cover in a sense that there's always there's the greats. There's like the best in the game when people start talking about who's the best of this right now this season. There's always that group. And then there's always the group that no one talks about. But then there's always that group that just doesn't make the cut. The ones that get snubbed on All-Star. The ones that, you can make a case for them every year for first team, second team, and they never really hit that pinnacle. So I feel like he's one of those players that doesn't get justified enough in a sense of that. If you have to, it's hard to say because he's, he is a superstar, but he is a mega superstar. And I feel like, with Portland, he had some complaints because he's like, y'all got to put a team around me. But I think the reason he's saying that is because until he starts to win at a high level and win in the playoffs, people are not going to put him in that category. So I'm glad to see the NBA 2K did.
Antonio, we've heard Dame Lillard say it time and time again. Look, he likes it. He's got the background. He's an Oakland kid, very confident, got the rap skills. He did want more help, but he's also been one of the few superstars to say, I'm not joining up forces with anybody else. So I do respect that about Dame. Here's a guy that's a perennial all-star, 20 plus 25 points a game. I think one of the top 3 or 4 point guards in the NBA, and that's a stacked list of point guards. Your thoughts on him being the 2K21 cover athlete? I like it. He looked pretty good on there, man. And he's funny as hell, too.
No question. No, I think Dame is a guy that certainly, if you look at his playing style, you look at the fact that you alluded to it, Larry, that he is actually a very good rapper. I'm a hip hop guy, and
yes, come on, Dad.
Right?
Yes,
and a lot of players that pick up the mic aren't necessarily that good.
He's
right?
got skills.
So if Dame wasn't playing in the NBA, he's a legitimate artist. And so the other thing, sort of piggyback on what Renee was saying and what you were saying as well, Larry, is the fact that Joe Q Public is always complaining about athletes having liberties and freedoms to be able to choose their destinations. I got to buy a new jersey. I don't get to know the team because these guys are changing all the time with free agency. Where here's a cat that stayed. Here's a cat that's a loyal one. And people don't respect him, and they don't, I guess, laud him for as much as they should, because he's doing exactly what people say that these athletes should do. And again, that's not my sentiments. That's what Joe Q Public says. So with that being said, I just feel like he deserves much more credit than he gets. Also, too, from a basketball standpoint, and you talked about it a little bit earlier, Larry, the point guard position in NBA is not in terms of star power, but in terms of depth. This is the deepest that position has been in the history of the NBA.
Yeah,
And this
definitely.
cat is top 3 position, and there are no off nights. OKC has 3 point guards, right?
Yeah.
So when they go to their second unit, they have another starting quality point guard there, right? And then Dennis Schroeder will give people buckets. So this position is so deep. And this guy is doing what he's doing, and he's staying loyal. He's doing what Joe Q Public says he should do. He represents the community well. You know, as you say, Larry, for the young ones, he's a real one. So people should
Hey.
respect Dame the way that they should.
He'll keep it a buck, absolutely. You saw it,
No
5-time
question.
All-Star. He averages like 24 points a game. I mean, he's doing some good stuff. Durham, real quickly, go ahead, bud.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of funny because last night I was on Facebook and I saw a collage of his plays last night. He is a tremendous player. I think the problem is that he plays in Portland.
He's in Portland.
He's in a small market.
Yeah.
If he was playing in LA, Chicago, New York, he would get more pub. But because he plays in Portland and it's on the western side, I mean, people don't really understand how good he is, how bad his game is.
Good point.
But 2K recognized it. They put him on the cover. So I mean, that is tremendous. He's underrated, but people that really watch basketball know how good he is.
Oh,
Rib
no
City,
question.
baby. Rib City in Portland, Oregon. Yep. I remember the little theme song, Rib City Rhapsody. I think it's what Rib City Rhapsody in Portland, Oregon.
And speaking of rappers, since we're doing that, Lou Will actually, I got some of his songs in rotation. If you haven't heard "Rebound" by Lou Will, it's a bop. And when I say a bop, it's like you can just turn it on and you bop to it. So yeah, I love to see those more than an athlete type of things. So yeah, he has the full package. And sorry to add one more thing about Dame, he does this thing on Instagram where he basically hosts a cipher, and people don't know what a cipher is. It's where different rappers come on and rap, but he does that because he tries to give people their start. He knows he has a huge platform, and he lets these up and coming rappers, battle. Basically, everybody comes on, they get the same beat, they get the same amount of time, and what can you spit? And he just basically gives them his platform. So I just think he's just an all around good guy. So I'm excited for him for that. He deserves it.
And that's why you guys are on the show, because there's only so much. I didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I learned something from all 3 of you guys, except I don't learn anything from Derwin. I dribble half the time, literally dribble. I love Derwin. He's a guy, I love it. He holds to his convictions. I respect the hell out of that. I'm just playing around. Let's go to HBCU 2K Turner real quick. I got to get out of here, guys, because I don't want to hold you guys too long. Renee and I, the HBCU Good Trouble.
Yes, sir.
Good Trouble movie comes out tomorrow in theaters, select theaters nationwide. Streaming services on demand. The stream, the HBCU Takeover, is Monday. Renee and I had the awesome pleasure of working on Tuesday to work through the qualifiers. You got 6 schools in this tournament that's going to be competing Sunday live on twitch.tv/compete forever right here. Also on Mixer, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram is no Instagram. I need to stop saying that. Never mind. Take it back. Southern, John C. Smith, Hampton, Fayetteville State, Virginia State, and Langston were in there. So Renee, how much fun did you have, man? Working on. It was my first time doing like a broadcast.
Yeah, you're good at your job, Larry Laptop. I'll say that.
You're better. You're better.
No, it's funny because it's like when you see a teacher out of school and you're like, oh, this is weird. But it was different because I'm like, wow. No, I say it in a sense that I was like, wow, Larry Laptop is good. Like because we just sit here and joke all the time, and we're being professional, but you know what I mean. But we were in a different setting, and I really was impressed. But I was also impressed with the players. There were, are we allowed to say spoiler alerts and stuff? But I just want to say there were some Cinderellas in a sense that we were surprised. So I like when there's not a certain predictability about things. I had a good time.
Good stuff. Derwin, any thoughts? Virginia State, you're a guy. He's the number 1 seed. What do you think? You think you can pull it out?
Hail State, hail State, hail, hail, hail. Let's go.
Oh, man. Oh, Derwin, you are something else, dude. It was good to see.
Alma mater.
Absolutely.
No, I love it. Yeah.
Gotta roll with him.
I got a Virginia State t-shirt. I got to wear one of these shows, man, and get Derwin all hype. Get him crunk real quickly. So we got a minute left, guys. Compete Forever, episode 5 this week, I believe. Right? Correct, Coach K? Episode 5, Madden 20 Catskills Challenge. Saturday, 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. Eastern. Sunday, 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. Eastern. Both days, 4 airings this weekend, only on Black News Channel. You can get Black News Channel on Dish Network, Comcast, Xfinity, and also Spectrum Charter to watch it nationally live on TV. We lead into the weekend primetime news, so it's a really good spot for us at 6 p.m. Going into the live 7 p.m. Weekend primetime news. So once again, compete for Madden 20 Catskills Challenge at Resorts World Casino in the Catskills, that region in New York, Monticello, New York. I think we got 5 top Madden players. We'll see who's going to win the, I think it was $1,000 prize pool. We'll see who's going to come out and win that tournament. Any final thoughts before we get out of here, guys? I said an hour. We went an hour and 15 minutes. I apologize.
You can't tell time.
No final thoughts. Look, I'm just happy to be here. Okay.
Yo, why you always got to knock me, dog? You just
Man, you've been taking shots at me all show.
That is true.
Really enjoy it. I'm telling you, it's good for TV.
It is.
I cannot wait till football season starts.
I can't
either. I know. Hey, it was funny, man. During we kept texting, I was like, man, you just gonna down that hill, aren't you, dog? You just gonna literally die and pass out on that hill. Dude, so I appreciate the camaraderie, and that's my comrade right there, and that's my broski.
No question. No question. Again, I appreciate you all having me. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hey, dude,
I enjoy it.
We're back on Sunday. I'll be in contact with everyone. No, we're going to take Coach K. What are we doing? We taking Sunday off? What do you guys want to do? You want to take it off?
You gotta let him unmute it by 3 different levels of unmuting.
We're gonna start with the Queen. What do you want to do on Sunday? You want to work? You want to take it off?
What is Sunday's date?
July the 5th. We have a show to do. You know, well,
I was just about to say the show must go on.
No, we have a show at 6 o'clock tonight.
6 to 10, right?
The takeover, yeah. So that means you would have to work twice, and I'm like, I want to hear from you.
So nice, you got to pay me twice.
I don't know about that.
Okay, no, I don't care. No, honestly, I don't care either way. That's on y'all. Like, I might respectfully decline since you're working me overtime, but I don't think the show should stop.
No, we're gonna take it off. We're gonna take it off. I'll see you guys next Wednesday. We're gonna take it off. I can't do my sister girl like that.
We're gonna have Derwin call in.
You should.
During the Good Trouble, spice things up. You know what I'm saying?
Give us some contrarian things.
We should get him to Zoom in. Like let's do that. Let's get some pictures and some video ready for Colin Kaepernick.
He wasn't better than Martin Luther King.
Dude,
y'all got Colin Kaepernick.
He's no John Lewis.
With some damn Rosa Parks. Y'all out of your mind.
He's not like Malcolm X.
Oh my gosh, that is so good.
Dude, you're playing. I'm dead serious, dude. You gotta get Joe to call in. I'm dead serious.
Suggestion?
Yeah.
Did you just say
like,
Colin Kaepernick and John Lewis in the same breath?
I thought I said he's John Lewis.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny.
Stop doing that,
dude. I'm not joking. It's good TV when this guy dies on a heel. I appreciate it. I like it.
I'm done.
He's no Clarence Thomas.
Hey, that might have.
But did he sit on the front of the bus though?
When you say Clarence Thomas, that might have another connotation. I'm
well, there was the episode with Kaepernick in the hotel, but we're not going to talk about that.
Oh, see, there you go.
Oh my goodness! I can't.
All right.
We got gold with this guy.
You know what, guys? Let's get out of here. Throw up the A's for Renee. Let me mute my. Throw them up for Renee. Throw them up. Yes.
I like that.
For Kevin Mamuzet pushing all the right buttons. Derwin Worrell, where Brooklyn at? He's in Brooklyn right here. We got my guy, A. Will, Antonio Williams out in Dalworth, the Metroplex. Have a good holiday weekend. And the baby girl, she's your queen to be.
Shouts to Snook and Diddy.
Snook and Diddy. The OG.
Those country roads. I love them. Mama and Daddy, y'all be good. Take care of yourself in the A. We'll see you next Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern for more Esports Extra Live, 7 p.m. Eastern, guys. Have a good 4th of July weekend. Bye-bye.